Okay, hi everyone. So this video is going to be on the brake shot. So the last video I put up had no audio, and so I figured that out, and now what I'm going to do is record the video again. So basically, just talking about the brake shot, and it's not a shot a lot of people will practice. It is useful to practice it though, just to get more consistent and to learn what your cue ball will do during your break. So a lot of people aren't actually aware of like what the cue ball will do during their break. So if you think about your break shot now, where does your cue ball end up, or where do you try and get it to end up? And a lot of people don't actually know, but it's important to kind of know where your cue ball's ending up and try and control it. It makes you feel like you're more in control of the frame, and it does make your brake building, like the shots that follow that, more consistent. So yeah, so the first part of the break isn't actually hitting the cue ball, it's racking the balls. So whenever you do that, you want to kind of get on top of it and just have a little bit of a look and make sure all the balls are frozen. And what that means is all the balls are touching off each other whenever you rack them up like that. So your front one is probably going to be the most likely culprit to roll forward. Just make sure it is actually touching the two behind it. It should be the first ball you're hitting, and if they're all frozen like that, they split better and they give you a better chance of getting a better split. So I'll show you my break first. I break from the left normally, just preference. The way I break is just go into this front ball and play with top left hand side. What that does is it makes the cue ball kick into the side rail and then go back into the pack. So the two reasons behind that are, one, I'm going into the pack once from the front and then once from the side. That allows a better split. And the second reason is because the cue ball does come in from this side the second time, it's more likely to run into a ball in the middle of the table and stop there. That just gives me the feeling of a bit more control, and also because I know the path the cue ball is going to take, it just means I'm not going near any pockets, there's no danger, and the only thing I'm hoping for is that a ball goes down. So I'll show you how that works. Just watch the cue ball and the path that the cue ball takes. Okay, so nothing down, but it was a good example of both aspects of the break. One, the split's good. If you watch the path of the cue ball, it does go to the front and then back in from the side, and it finishes roughly in the middle of the table. So even though nothing went down, that is still a pretty good break. So yeah, if you're you don't want to do that break, you don't like it, and you want a different break, that's fine too. You don't have to break the same way. Everyone has their own, well, not favourite spin, but everyone has the type of spin they're probably more comfortable hitting. If you're more comfortable, or you think you can get a better result with using top spin, or just screwing back to the middle of the table, that's also fine. As long as it works for you and you practice it and it's consistent, then that's a good break. The other thing to think about when you're breaking is how hard do you want to break. So the first one was pretty a medium hit. If you really put some force into a break, it does make you lose a little bit of control over the cue ball. So breaking the same way again, but using a lot more force, would look like this. So there you go. So on this table, I'm probably likely to break a little bit harder, just because of the split. A ball did go down, which makes me probably like that a bit more. Probably it would take me a bit of time on this table to learn my favourite type of break. So if I wanted to screw back instead. But again, just finishing in the middle of the table is something you should be looking at. it does help with the rest of the shots that follow. So I'm going to shut up for a bit and just try and run a few yellows together, and just maybe talk a bit about position while I'm doing that. So first yellow, just left hand side, come off for this yellow, back into this middle pocket. So with this one, I'm just gonna screw the cue ball back a little bit, do a bit here. I just leave myself this gap for the other to the corner. There we go. Okay, so with this one, I'm probably just gonna let the cue ball drift forward, top left hand side, come into this cushion, and then hopefully back out to leave myself nice and straight on this one into the middle pocket. Okay, overplayed that one a little bit, but I can cut this yellow into the middle. Top right, play to about here, hopefully for, again, same shot into the middle. Okay, it's just wanting to sit beside that yellow at the minute. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to play the double on this yellow into this middle pocket, but I'm going to play it with tons of top right hand side and force the cue ball over, hopefully in behind these two. If I do make the pot, basically what that allows me to do is play a nice controlled safety. If I don't make the pot, again, it's kind of a safety in itself, because if I get the cue ball here, you can't see those reds past the black, you can't see these two reds past those two yellows. This one doesn't go into the middle, and that leaves a really difficult long red down there. Or if I get it right, you might not be able to see those two at all. So just trying to pick this angle out. It's hard when the cue ball and object ball are so close together, and I haven't played that hard enough. But we have achieved our objective. This is a pretty good safety. Can't actually see this one past this red. So with this one, again, it's a safety. What I'm going to play here is just come off this red to develop it, because it is the most awkward one. And I'm going to play with top right hand side and bring the cue ball over to this cushion. What that does is it blocks these two yellows, and also it's down at this side of the table. So if I leave the cue ball up this side of the table, there's a higher chance of them being able to see and pot that one. So there we go. So what I'm going to do here is I'm actually not going to play safety. I'm going to go aggressive, and I'm going to go for the pot. Whenever I was playing the last safety, I didn't actually take a walk around the table, but this angle through to this corner pocket here is actually on. With the way the reds are sitting, I feel a little bit more comfortable playing aggressively. These two don't pass into that corner, and there's two kind of sitting by the cushions. So I feel a little bit more comfortable going for this angle. I'm going for the shot even, just because the chances are you'll still get back to the table even if you do miss the pot. Okay, so I did make the pot that time. It's not a shot you should be going for every time, but it's good whenever you get it. So the shot I'm going to play here is I'm going to play a stop shot on this yellow, just straight in. The reason for that being it'll hit this red, hopefully stop, and this red will go over to the cushion, just making sure the shot's a legal shot. It also just will hopefully block off, and it'll also develop this yellow to about here, hopefully. So see if I can execute this properly. Okay, so not as safe as I wanted, but this is a difficult combination to that middle. These two are fairly safe, and those two are both long pots. So I'm still happy because I developed both yellows there. I think just because these two yellows are now sitting dead center and they're fairly easy pots, and that black's free. Best safety for me to play is to just hit this red and come off it with a little bit of right hand side, just so that the cue ball will actually finish just in here in the cushion. Just because that means you can't see that yellow through the red and the black, and you hopefully won't be able to see this yellow because that red will be covering the angle to see it. So a nice easy little safety shot, but it's effective. It stops your opponent going aggressive. So just a kick shot. I'll just try and hit this hard because it might give it something to happen. If I just roll into this gently off one cushion, that leaves that to the middle. That's fairly open, and you can kind of make a bit of a run from there. So I'll go aggressive with this safety and see if I can make something happen. No. So just playing this as a bit of a screw shot. Bit of a stop shot more than a screw shot, but same difference. I'm still in position. What I'll do is I'll drift across to this cushion and come out of it. The reason being, the next shot I'm going to play is going to be another safety. Sometimes what I like doing in the middle of racks is, even if there's pots on, sometimes I'll go for the safety anyway. That positional shot didn't work the way I wanted it to, but I'm actually going to change tactic now, and I'll go for another safety. What I've seen is if I put the cue ball here, it blocks this one in the middle of the table, and the only shot it leaves is an awkwardly straight double on this yellow. So that is the safety I'm going to play. Just straight and really gentle into that red ball just before the cushion. There we go. I think I've actually left that yellow. Yeah. So that was unfortunate, but difficult positional shot to the next yellow. So I'll just go with tons of top right hand side and hopefully just come into this cushion and back right. Commentator's curse on myself maybe a little bit. I'm gonna take this red and not try and pot it, but just try and drift the cue ball just behind that right there. Just play with a little touch of left hand side, just swerve into it. And that doesn't work. Oh dear, I need to stop saying what I'm going to do before I do it. I'll just go for the pot here and try and screw back because I do like the shot. There we go. And on that one, no. So I'll just play this into the cushion and try and drift somewhere up here. The top rail there. Ah, that's two. Accidentally hit off that one. So with two shots, what I'm going to do here is I'm going to, so these two are fairly easy, I can make those, but these two are the problem. So I'm going to deal with that one first, and what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to try and go aggressive with a development shot. So I'm going to actually try and pot this one. I'm going to try and play the double, but what that does is the cue ball will continue into this red and it'll bring it off the cushion, hopefully I do about here on the table for me. So I'll just follow through with top spin just to bring the cue ball out at the same time. Okay. So yeah, just because of the way this red's finished, I'm going to play the same shot, but I'm going to play a stop shot just to leave the cue ball behind that red if I do miss. Okay, so now that I've made that pot, you can see that if I had missed, you couldn't see the yellow, so it's good to think of two-way shots like that sometimes. I'm going to play this with quite a bit of pace, top right hand side, swing it around the angles to come out straight for this one. Oh no. So I'll just play a quick shot, bar cushion, hit into that yellow. You know, sometimes I'm glad I record these things, and just for shots like that. So now I'm just going to play the cut shot on the black. Overcut that one. Play this red in the gap behind the black to stop it from going to that pocket. There we go. Just play this pot aggressively with the right hand side. So, not the best example of safety, but it still leaves a difficult cut on this black. There we go. So yeah, basically what's taking this video is, the first thing is use the cue, because I'm no good at putting balls in with my hands, and there's an innuendo for you. But if you just practice your break, get a little bit more consistent at that, and yeah, just practice that in a bit of free time. Another cool shot to play, just while I'm struggling to ramble on here, is playing the black ball on its spot. So with this ladder it's a bit difficult, so I'm actually going to play it in reverse. So play it this way. So start with the cue ball in the middle of the table, black ball on its spot, and the idea is to cut it to one of the corners without going in with the cue ball. See if I can do this. Oh, it's a bit of a silly thing to do, but what it does is it's just a bit of fun, but for a match situation it's practical in case you finish awkwardly on the black. So both at the same time. But yeah, practice the break, and hopefully some of the positional shots you've seen there were pretty good, and made you think about safety and stuff like that. And yeah, practice your break. I've said that about 5 times.